And we still have black shirts to now, but we don't have the whole
Skulls
and
no, we have never had anything dark or negative about that.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like some of those
Oh,
styles.
yeah.
It's just not what I feel we need to associate with a paranormal investigation.
You're listening to the MPI Paranormal Podcast, where the truth is to be found. A podcast exploring all things paranormal, hauntings, UFOs, crypto, the unknown. Our members believe in the skeptical approach, but with an open mind, just trying to make sense of it all.
I want to get back in there, try to figure that out, because it is the unknown.
I don't really have a say on it right now because I don't know what the video looks like.
Well, I'm looking for the evidence. What's the evidence? A story to me is not really evidence because that's one person's experience.
Right.
And I take my personal beliefs into it, but like you said, then I have my skeptical side that wants to prove it another way.
Military Paranormal Investigations is not affiliated to any branch of the military. It's time! Coming to you from North Texas on multiple platforms for maximum reach. Here are your hosts, members of the MPI team.
And welcome to Military Paranormal Investigations Podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Mike.
And we had a little malfunction earlier.
This is our second go around.
Yeah, this is our second go around. I mean, we did pretty good with the first one. The first one was really, really good. Yeah.
I guess we'll start by just saying, don't forget you can always find us at militaryparanormal.com.
You can find us on Podbean,
on Facebook and Instagram at Military Paranormal, one word.
And Twitter. Find us at Twitter now. We really have taken off on Twitter. It'd be MPI underscore paranormal. You can find us there. And our new one that we're really trying to push hard is YouTube.
And yeah, we're at 90 subscribers. We had a big push here.
That's right.
And we're trying to get some stuff rolling with that. So if you can go like and subscribe us there, that would be awesome.
Would have been nice if we could have Jeff and Allison here tonight.
Yes. We're kind of throwing this together at the last minute to get some content out to you guys and as a test.
Exactly. This is our portable podcast. It took us a while to get it going, but I think it's sounding pretty good right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is, so this is our portable for like portable interviews and that sort of stuff. So we thought we would try this and get some feedback from you guys if it sounds okay, if it's a reasonable amount of quality there for a portable setup. Because again, we are not in the studio.
Right, so we don't know.
We were just kind of working on some business and thought we would throw this together. And we had a couple of things we wanted to talk about, so we were going to try it.
Yeah. I really want to talk about where we're going with the future. But I know if we do, there's so much. I mean, we got storyboard after storyboard about what we want to do, and I really don't want to give too much away without Allison and Jeff here being a part of it.
Yeah, and we've still got a lot of stuff in the works too, but we do have a lot coming up for you guys, and we would like you to follow along, like, subscribe, follow us, and kind of see where we're going to take that.
Yeah. So I guess
one I wanted to talk about really
again
is, yeah, and I had a comment that was made to me about how we were going out Bigfoot, and they're like, well, why is a paranormal group looking for Bigfoot? But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, is kind of the state of paranormal investigating.
Okay.
Just a quick little deal on that.
So you're talking about like when we go out, like we went out and did the Bigfoot hunt, right?
Right. And, we're military paranormal, and we've been typically known for ghost
Ghost.
and that kind of thing. But I think it's kind of a stigma when you hear paranormal. Everybody automatically assumes ghosts.
Yeah, well,
and that sort of stuff.
You got to look at it. Paranormal means anything that's not normal. And Bigfoot would fall under that. And anything crypto would fall under that.
Right.
I mean, look at the chupacabra. I mean, I don't really believe that could exist, but I've seen things out there that I'm like, what the heck was that? That didn't look like a dog.
Well, I think, on that subject, the U.S. version of chupacabra is totally different than where the chupacabra roots came from. So that's a whole other topic and a whole other show, actually.
Yeah.
But, what I kind of wanted to talk about is, so there's studies that show that 3 out of 4 people believe in some sort of paranormal belief. That actually came from a Gallup poll that was done. And that 47% believe in ghosts or demons, and 18% of people believe that they have seen a ghost at some point in time.
Well, I would tend to agree with those numbers. I mean, look at all the different paranormal groups we have out there right now.
Yeah, and it's all the TV shows
Yeah.
and all of that sort of stuff. So with those kinds of numbers, though, why do you think that the paranormal subject is still so taboo whenever you talk about it? If you say, hey, I'm going to go ghost hunting, people are like,
You're going to do what?
What?
Well, yeah, that's like I was talking earlier about my son when we were telling him we were going to go down to the lake and look for Bigfoot and everything. He's like, Dad, there's no such thing as Bigfoot. Come on, Dad. And I'm like, we found footprints, Lane. Come on. Mike found footprints. Put a cast on there and look at that thing. There is no way. I mean, when you sent me those photos and I looked at it, I was like, okay, yeah. But even going further than that, you and Jeff went to the Bigfoot conferences. I didn't go because I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not into that really. But then I went down there with you guys and I started listening to the stories and the encounters that they had. And then I listened to Bob and I was like, really? And then I actually went and looked at the Patterson video and I was like, I tore that sucker apart. And people still think that thing's fake. But I haven't been able to find anything on that. And I've seen other experts that tear apart that video and they came up with the same conclusion that I did. There's no way that a man could have done that. And it's, I guess when it comes to the paranormal, it's all about belief.
Yeah.
What do you believe? The same thing with the ghost. Do you believe in ghosts? Because I guess it's more, when you're dealing with ghosts and everything, I guess it's more of a spiritual or religious thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the paranormal...
Some more faith.
Exactly. The paranormal thing, I think it's more of a faith thing. It's the curiosity. You find it and then, well, it's the search for the find, I guess. You want to go out there and you want to look for it. And to go backtrack to where you talked about taboo, my own personal belief is people think you're crazy. Mm-hmm. They really do. Why would you want to go and
if half of the people in the U.S. believe in some sort of paranormal activity, why does everybody you run into think that you're crazy?
Yeah, it's society. I guess that would be the only thing.
And that's kind of where my second question was, is why do you think it's... So if people believe in that, what is such a big deal with trying to share that information? Mm-hmm. If it's taboo, obviously, but what is the actual problem? I mean, if you and I, when we all of our group, we all had an experience,
right?
So, and we found each other and done that, and then now it's kind of normal for us. But when you talk to the average person, it is.
Yeah, I guess when you talk to the average person, they're the ones that's like, okay, I don't get it. Why would a grown man go out in the middle of the woods and look for ghost or Bigfoot, or they think we're crazy? They really do. you go back to it's all how it's perceived. It's society. I mean, you look at the early 50s and 60s. Okay, you had colleges and professors trying to find life after death. They were trying to find out if there was anything on the other side. And then nowadays, there's only maybe a handful. There's not as many that you hear about it. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking earlier about that, that was, so the last of the spiritual enlightenment of the late 1800s, late 1800s.
Yeah.
In the 50s, the youngsters that were then are now older, so they're up and they're still that faith, belief in that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I find it's just difficult. In the UFO arena in the last 2 or 3 years, things have really progressed and people are a whole lot more open with that. But I think that's because the media got involved and started sharing that kind of stuff.
Well, look at some of the declassifications that came out with the Navy, showing the UFOs that they tracked.
But it's almost like people had to get that.
They had to see it. Yeah. It's almost like, okay, well, if the higher ups, if the government is coming out with this, then does that make it okay? Yes and no, because I know that there's still stuff out there that the government doesn't tell us.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell us. I mean, look at Project Blue Book. They didn't put that out there until, what, the 80s? And then you have all these other programs, if you would, that are out there.
All the ATIP stuff that's recently come out.
Exactly.
And all of that sort of stuff. I don't know, I just find it odd that, when we go to investigate and we get an interview with somebody and, first time you ask them, you're like, you ever had anything go on? Oh,
No.
And then you kind of get in it, you telling your stories and you're going along and you're like, well, there was this one time.
Exactly.
And anyway, I don't know how we can fight that to get.
It would have to be, I mean, going back to looking at all the different paranormal groups that are out there right now, there is no scientific way to prove that something exists or doesn't exist.
Right.
As far as when it comes to the paranormal realm. There has to be some database, if you would, to where we could collectively put into to where the rest of the groups or organizations can pull that information out when they are investigating to try and come up with some scientific way to prove or disprove the existence of ghost or Bigfoot or UFOs or the Mothman. There's so many things out there that are deemed paranormal that people don't think they're paranormal.
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with it.
I think, it's education.
Education, yeah.
And that kind of goes into my last thing is, what do you think that us as paranormal investigators, what are our biggest challenges? What do we need to do? What are our challenges and what do we need to do to try to change the state of paranormal?
Networking, I would say, probably.
We were talking earlier about how, when it started out, BFRO and the Bigfoot research, field research organization, they were like the place to track Bigfoot sightings.
Right.
And now there's just so much infighting in the Bigfoot crowds. It's ridiculous. And you have this person keeping this secret and this person keeping that secret, and then they get mad at each other because somebody believes there may be a more of a supernatural twist to Bigfoot and all this infighting and things. So there's no
or
repository.
The Bigfoot and alien connection.
Yeah. So there's, and granted, I don't personally believe that that's the case. However, there are a lot of Bigfoot sightings that have some sort of strange,
true,
sky phenomena that goes on at the same time. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I guess like the UFO arena, you've got MUFON, which does, I think, a pretty good job of.
Oh, I think they do an awesome job of tracking
and logging data, and then maintaining that so that there's a consistency, so that they can tell you that, if you and I have a sighting, they can tell sometimes if those are validated based off of
by multiple witnesses
and multiple events that happen, that we report the same thing. That we see the same thing occur, but we don't know each other. We're in different parts of the country, but we have a same thing. So that's a validated response to that. Whereas ghost hunting in particular, and there's a couple of organizations that does a good job of tracking data, but there's no sharing. There's no, if we're, as an investigator, if we wanted to go log in what we got, we track our data, but if we go and we wanted to log that in somewhere so that somebody could compare, say, EVPs, we got an EVP, and we know that it's going to, it happened at this time, at this temperature, at this humidity, at this sun, this moon phase, this sun cycle, all of these sorts of things that happen, but there's nowhere to really compare that.
There's
as far as a major organization that does it. And because of that, there's a lack of consistency, I think.
I agree.
With trying to get the data, because, when we were talking about this earlier too, when we've all had an experience. I've had some weird experiences. So when I sit back and I listen to somebody's story, on the surface sometimes I think, what the heck? But then I'm like, well, I can't discount that because I had some weird crap that's happened to me.
True.
But on that note, when I go through and I'm on the internet and I'm going through some sites and I go to this webpage and I'm like, what the heck are they thinking? And
a lot of it has to do with there is I guess a misbelief that everything around the paranormal has to be dark. You go to a lot of these websites and there's nothing but dark black pages,
skulls and like everybody wears black t-shirts, and everybody's, and I know maybe that's kind of the more of the people that are into it is maybe their lifestyle but I know a lot of people that have started groups, and that's like, we got to get our black t-shirts, and I'm like, I hate that freaking thing.
You don't need to have a black t-shirt. Okay, when we first started, we had black t-shirts.
But we had black polos.
Yeah, black polos, and on the black t-shirts we actually...
And we still have black shirts now, but we don't have the whole
skulls. No, we have never had anything dark or negative about that. It's always been bright or curiosity. I know a lot of our themes have been around lightning, electricity.
And don't get me wrong, I like some of those styles.
Yeah.
It's just not what I feel we need to associate with a paranormal investigation. Why does it always have to be
dark and mystical? And if you're a listener and you have a website that's like that, I am no way bragging or coming down on you, knocking you. Exactly. But there is and
I think that goes back to why people sometimes don't want to tell their stories, or don't want, because you get an old country boy that's out in the woods hunting, has been raised his whole life with all these moral family values, and that's what he has to report.
Right.
And it don't make sense to him. And that's kind of where I was going. They're like, well, what? That has nothing to do with what I saw.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or you get somebody that thinks they saw a ghost, and they're maybe super religious and they've seen this. Well, that's the last thing they want to do is go to the group that's got skull and crossbones on everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because because then that puts the fear or the again, it's just a big misconception, I think.
Right. Yeah. It's all about education.
Yeah.
There has to be some way to get the education out there. And granted, a good forum for that is networking. Some paranormal conferences would be good. Like I know the one that we held, we tried to get a good fundamental background of different topics of paranormal, but there was some groups that did the whole antennas on the head, foil on the head, and I'm like,
well, and that's if you go to the bigger UFO conferences, when you get there, they got speakers that are giving you data and giving you, I mean, scientific studies or government, somebody's FOIA papers, and they've got this stuff and they're doing this. But if you go to and there's some Bigfoot conferences that are like that, but most of those are meant to entertain the public because of I think the TV era. But if you go to a paranormal conference, 99 times out of 100, it's going to be a Comic-Con paranormal conference together. People are going to be dressing up like Star Wars characters and going to and then.
Now, I'm not saying you dressing up a Star Wars character is bad, because I plan on doing that when I go to Disney World. So.
But this is just the problem that I see. If I get, it's the conference is there, and again, I'm not knocking any of this because I believe in most of these areas. But if I go to a conference, it's not geared towards
education,
full-on education.
Exactly.
You go and there's a Reiki guy in the corner that's doing Reiki healing. Okay, I mean that's fine. And then you've got a medium that's doing readings over in this corner, and that's fine. You see a lot of witchcraft and that type of stuff, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what are you getting? The public, when they see these things, they go and they want to learn about why they saw a ghost in their bedroom, and there's no education there.
Exactly.
There's no, what are we doing to find out what that is? Where are we going with that? And and there's some groups and there's some conferences that are, but it's just, to me, it's far and few between.
Yes.
And that's the problem that I see. And then there's no repository for us to put.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no database, no nothing. I mean, the closest thing for, not so much a database or a repository, but the closest thing I see for a connection, US-wise, would be the paranormal list. On his website, he literally lists by state groups you can contact. You can make a request to him personally, and he puts a request out there to all his followers on Twitter. Hey, I need investigators to go check this out.
And see, but to me, that's a one-way door.
Exactly.
Because he's getting it out there for people to investigate, but what happens with that data when it comes back in?
Exactly. Who gets it? It doesn't go anywhere. It goes to the individual group that actually picked up that case that wants to try to help the individual that requested the help in the first place. But it doesn't, I mean, it really doesn't go anywhere beyond that. And I agree with you. I believe that's the problem out there. We need to have some way of gathering the different data and keeping a database of it, but that's a big undertaking. It really is. You need basically a full company to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a lot. You'd have to have a lot of money and servers and everything else to do that.
And I think a good place to start would probably be some of these television shows that are doing it. I mean, you got all these different paranormal groups from the different networks, and they're all doing something a little bit different. So why can't they take that and put it somewhere else to where other paranormal groups can get that information from?
I still have a problem sometimes with TV though, and we've discussed it. And there's the whole I watched it in the beginning, but there's the one show that everything's a demon on.
Yeah,
and that irritates the crap out of me, because you and I both know after dozens, hundreds of cases, it's far and few between that we've ever experienced anything like that.
Twice out of the 12
that's
years.
what I would say, twice.
Twice out of the 12 years we've been doing this has something attached itself.
Or
that we had to go
well beyond our understanding. And like, hey, we got to go to somebody, a professional.
Exactly.
So,
it's got to go higher than us.
Yeah.
We are not capable of handling this. It definitely has to go higher. No, and that's like some of the other shows. They literally find something every episode.
Mm-hmm.
I can't count how many times we found nothing.
My house, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that multiple people have seen full mist form in front of us and disembodied voices and all this. We've done this house 3 times. Nothing.
Well, that's like the last
Absolutely nothing.
The last time I was here, we stayed up till 3 o'clock. And
that was in broad daylight.
Broad daylight. I'm here talking to you. I see you go into the kitchen. And then I see you go to the refrigerator. I see that. And you don't answer me back. And I'm like, okay, I guess you're stuffing your face or something. And then all of a sudden you come around the other corner. And I'm like, what? No, you were.
I'm like, I've been outside this whole time.
I'm like, no, you were.
I was cooking.
I was like,
on the grill.
No, exactly. I was like, no, you were in the kitchen. You're like, no, And I know, I saw. It might have not been you, but I saw a figure.
Right.
Your size figure in the kitchen, and yeah.
But we investigate and we get zilch.
Exactly. Nada. That's like some of the cases we get.
The last one.
The last one. Okay. Up and down, claims there was activity. Now, when we go up there, we have things happen. But when we review the footage, there's nothing there to substantiate the claims that they had.
Mm-hmm. Or what, for example, we may have heard a noise or we may have seen this or an instrument did this, but upon reviewing all the other stuff, we were able to devalidate those experiences. Yeah.
We were able to find, okay, that was something else. And I'm in agreement with you that there has to be some database, some way to validate this information, somewhere that we can put this information that everyone can get to.
And I think my biggest thing about just the whole paranormal field right now is we have to get rid of the stereotypes of we are going to come out with our black t-shirts and all of our gadgets and this, that, and the other. And there's a whole lot more to it than that. To do an actual research investigation, there's a whole lot more to it. And I think that...
You can't just go out there with your K2 and watch the thing flashing like, ooh.
Yeah.
No.
What are you getting from it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're getting flashes on an electronic meter. Ooh.
So that's where I think is we have to... It's almost a battle to... If you want to change... We talked about it before. The public opinion, it'll go up and then it'll go down. It'll go up based off of what's going on.
Exactly.
And just in
media,
society.
Television.
But if you want to break that and get over that hump, you have to make it less taboo.
Right.
And that starts, to me, with professionalism. It starts with full-fledged explaining and education and that sort of stuff. There are things we cannot explain.
Correct.
And you go to it and you document that in hopes that one day all this is going to fall into place and you're going to be able to figure it out.
Right.
Because right now, if you go on an investigation and something happens, what you have is an experience. And something maybe that might be cool.
Yeah.
And it may be a personal high, if you will, for what's going on. But when you walk away from it in the end, that's all you have.
That's exactly it. You have a personal experience, which is why I always say you can't take that as footage. Yeah, it's great. It's a personal experience. I've had personal experience. I've seen things that I can't explain. And I've seen things that I can explain.
And there's groups that, and I'm not knocking this at all, they do cleansings and they do that sort of stuff. And I guess my thing is how do you really know it works?
Exactly. You would have to, and see that's.
And I'm not saying it don't. I'm not going there, But
How do you know?
Yeah, and how do you know? And then also, there's so many groups out there that do this, and I don't think they have a clue of what they're doing.
Right.
And I don't mean to. I mean, there's some that do. I think that there is some legitimacy to that. I think that if there are supernatural things and occurrences that happen, there's a place for that.
Yes.
But how do you know that it's working? You can't validate that.
No, not at all.
I mean, you can have a psychic that tells you, well, yes, they've passed on. And that's okay, but you cannot validate that. Exactly. And I don't think the psychic will argue with you.
No,
because what you have is their experience and their feelings.
Yep.
But there's no validation in that.
No, none whatsoever.
You know, you can't quantitatively measure a spirit and then measure that it's not physically there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I think happens. I think sometimes it gets too weird for the average person. You know, somebody that's had an experience, maybe, but then you've got the other part of that people are like, I don't know. And I know a lot of skeptics that have had weird stuff happen, and they're just like, it's weird. I got to chalk it up to being weird. That's all I can say.
That's all
So,
and I think a lot of that has to do with what you were talking about earlier, is why are people afraid, or why is it so taboo? Why are people not willing to speak up when they've had that experience? And a lot of it has to do with perception.
Yeah, I think it gets too weird for people sometimes.
And there are some,
and you can acknowledge that. You can tell them, "Hey, I know it's weird, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to collect that evidence."
Right.
But that's where we're going. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's Aunt Sally in the corner that's bothering your kid.
Right.
I can't do that.
No.
I mean, I could tell you that all day long, but that don't make it true.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's where I'm going with that. Is just kind of, I see the state of the paranormal field right now almost as a problem. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of is, that we have to figure out how we're going to, where it's going to go.
Right, yeah.
Because right now, this has been, we talked about it the other day, we've been doing this for 12 years, and what has changed?
Nothing really.
Now, the UFO field, there's been a lot of change in that, but again, they approach things, now you got some weirdos there, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
But your true researchers, they're doing the same thing that, like, we're talking about. They're looking at evidence, they're looking at claims, they're looking at the scientific data they can collect.
Right.
Now you've got the government coming out with some stuff. And to me, they're on the right track of getting that rolling.
Right.
But as far as the other genres in paranormal, I think we have a lot of work to do to progress any further than where we've been for the last 100 years.
And one of the big ones, I would say, would be the crypto field. I mean, I haven't been majorly involved in the crypto field, but
there's a lot of good researchers there. But then on that same token, for everybody that's out there doing good work and doing good research and trying to validate that stuff, then you've got some people that are making it weird for people.
And the ones that are trying to fake the evidence.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what hurts. That's what hurts the paranormal field.
There's quite a few of that. And nowadays and the same thing with ghost stuff.
Yeah.
You can get an app on your phone that we've had many submitted to us, and to us it's easy to debunk.
Yes.
I mean, because we have software and our experience to say, you know what?
Come on now.
That ain't real.
That's like, I remember the one that was sent to us a long time ago.
On the deer feeder.
With the deer feeding the little girl and I'm like, look, you can get that from the Apple app. Look at this. Here it is, right here. Okay? Come on. Or the one where you can, the shadow figure in the woods. And you can clearly see that on the bottom of the feet, it's flat. You can tell that someone they knew what they were doing with Photoshop. That's exactly what that was. And we were able to do the exact same thing. We took a picture, I believe, of Jeff. And I grade him out to be a dark mass. There's so much you can do with these programs. And that's what hurts as well. It really does.
And there's no trust, because I had this with a family member recently. We have some EVPs that I think are legitimate.
Right, yeah.
I can't tell you for certain in scientific certainty what they really are. However, they were responsive to our questions.
Right.
They were good Class A EVPs. But what it comes down to is, I show that to my family member, and they're still a little in disbelief. But if I show that to Joe in the corner, he don't have to believe me, because there's so much other tomfoolery going around out there that he doesn't have to trust us.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I see that sometimes the stereotypes and the need for attention from it, with some of the TV shows, that kind of stuff. I think that there's a distrust in a real investigator sometimes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Maybe that's a little harsh, but
no,
I see it that way.
No. That's like sometimes I mean, not to dog other podcasters, but there's been shows that I go wanting to get information on different paranormal topics, and they're not talking anything about it. They're just, well,
it's in the title and it's in the stuff,
exactly.
But it's not in the content.
It's not in the content at all. And it's like, okay, why did I just spend 30 minutes here trying and waiting for this information so I could do some more research? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's gotten us a lot of flack over the years when we call fluff on stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If we say, hey, you know what? There ain't nothing going on here, it gets us a lot of flack.
Yeah.
But we've had several instances where that's been validated. When we had one case where we told them there was a fear cage that their loved one was in, and that it was affecting their mental health and their physical health. And they didn't want to believe it. And they had another group that came in that told them it was Aunt Sally, and that they were going to get all these people involved. And then, what was it, 8-9 months later?
They called us up
and said, hey, we finally booted them out, and we got a contractor out here. We fixed the stuff, and guess what? They're fine. They're
fine now. They're not sick every day. They're not going to the hospital.
They quit. All the physiological effects were going away as well too. So, anyways, well, I think we probably need to wrap up.
I think so.
Once we get
going, we just get going.
But again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, our purpose from behind this was primarily to test this portable equipment that we have.
Definitely let us know how we're sounding.
We will be editing this in post, which what we would do if we were doing an interview or something on location anyway. But let us know if the quality is just too bad, or if it's, hey, that's good.
Right.
It's like this was some of what we used during our campfire podcast, and that turned out
really good. Well. Really, really good.
And I've been, on that note, we kind of talked to you a little bit about that. I've been reaching out to another high-level investigator. And we've been sharing some information that we didn't previously have. And I think we're going to continue to go to this location, and hopefully with our future endeavors, maybe tie some of that in together.
I think we're going to have a good, which is another reason why we keep pushing that YouTube channel. So we're sitting at 90, so come on, people. I don't want to beg, but I'm going to beg. We need at least 10 more subscribers out there, please.
So go like and subscribe to our channels. You can go to militaryparanormal.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Military Paranormal, one word.
And basically any podcast site, you can find us out there. I mean, just Military Paranormal.
Yep. If there is a podcast player that's your favorite, you can search for us and you can find us. And then also YouTube, you can type in youtube.com/militaryparanormal and it will take you there. However, we're trying to get the permanent URL for that. So again, that's why we need the subscribers. And then also you can call us at 940-437-4MPI if you want to leave a story. I would really like to collect some more stories for a listener story podcast. So if you guys want to submit something to us, you can talk to us anonymously, or you can leave us a message. We may even call you back if you want, where you can get your story.
You can even email us at Podbean or podcast at militaryparanormal.com, or contact.us@militaryparanormal.com.
And again, guys, we always thank you for listening.
Yes.
The podcast has seemed to across all platforms. We are just amazed at the response that we're getting. So we thank you wholeheartedly from the bottom of our hearts. And
I know if Jeff and Allison were here, they would totally agree with us.
It's absolutely awesome. And again, If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out to us, and we will talk to you next time.
Yep. Have a good night.
And I'll say it for Allison. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the MPI Paranormal Podcast. This podcast has been brought to you by Military Paranormal Investigations. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Don't forget to connect with us on Podbean, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Until next time, the truth is to be found.